What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, here we are. Here we are at about $88,900, 89,000 right now. Boom, there we go. With a high today of about $91,000, just shy of that. I do believe that by the end of this week, we have about 4 days and 10 hours left in this week. 4 days, 9 hours left. We will be above $97,000. My target, truthfully, is something that's above 100,000, but I'm just saying 97,000 now because if we're not above 100,000, I would expect that we're at least very, very close to it. But the call is for us to be above 100K by the end of this week. Specifically, if we take this high here, come on now, to this low here, I'm thinking that will be maybe at 101, 102,000, if not well on our way to that area. At least something that's above 97K. That's my minimum expectation. And here we are, a whole $10,000 below that. Let's look at this thing on a 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame here. Looking rather bullish, higher lows, right? We're maintaining that. We're getting above the 50. Anytime we get below the 50, we're coming right back up. We're maintaining these readings. Hopefully we do. It wouldn't be good rejecting the 60 here and then getting back below the 50, though I suppose it's not detrimental. As long as we're not breaking below the 60 or above the 60, that's okay as long as we're not breaking below the 40. So if we do go down, if we were to go back down to the 40 area here, maybe form another higher low in this kind of trend, something like that might result in a move that takes us back down to about 85,000, maybe even as low as about $83,000. So if you want to avoid that and you want to just move up, well, close this 4-hour period green, get above the 60, close any 4-hour RSI period reading above the 60, so that we can get back into these more bullishly dominant readings and get into the overbought zone. Maybe even see a higher high and produce a move that's more robust than what we saw last time. Now, I don't think that we're going to get something like this for Bitcoin, where we're in a 8-hour period, Bitcoin moved up 12%. I don't think that's coming our way. I think that was a one-off, and everything else from as far as growth goes, I'm not saying that it won't happen again by the end of the cycle, but just nothing anytime soon. I mean, maybe I don't know, but I would think that we do get some steady growth over the day, over the week, leading up to about 100K. The 4-hour looks bullish. That's all I'm trying to say on this, right? If we look at the 1-hour time frame here, 1-hour time frame looks a little bit bullish as well, actually. We are moving down with a little bit of volume, and that's not encouraging to me. That does mean that we probably move a little bit lower. Let's see what we do here. Let's look at this high to low. When I say lower, I don't mean lower than these lows. I just mean a little bit lower, truthfully. Golden ratio here. Okay, hey, actually, hey, we might have, that might be it for the dump for today, you guys. Whenever you hit the golden ratio, you find resistance. Oftentimes, in a bullish endeavor, you find support at the 0.5. Or, at least, at the very lowest, you go down to the 382 and find support. It would be nice to hold. I take that 83K target off the table if we were to go lower. I think 86.4K is what we need to hold. If we wick below this and we hit 83K on that wick and then we come back up and close above the 382, okay, that's fine. As long as we're closing above the 382, I have no qualms. I have no worries. But anything higher, if we can bounce off this 0.5 area and get back above the golden ratio, that would likely lead to Bitcoin by the end of the day being at prices that are above 92K, 93K, maybe even beyond that, right? And well on our way for the next day to see price targets grow. I mean, man, we'd be on our way to the deep 90s, if not even above 100K as early as tomorrow or even the next day. If we can, turn the speed around here. If it takes longer time, then it just takes longer time. But inevitably, I do think we're going there. I think that we're on our way to new all-time highs and all that stuff, right? All that jazz. Here we are. As we're moving down, we're losing volume, right? The only time that volume comes in, that it starts to grow, is actually whenever we're starting to move up. Here, even on this move down, while it is substantial volume and it is above average, it's nothing compared to what we're getting on the buy side. So definitely convinced that the bulls are in control here. The bears have nothing. They just have a little bit of fun whenever the bulls allow them to, and then whenever they've taken it too far, the bulls are like, the bulls just step in and they're like, nope, we're finding support at prior areas of resistance. We're moving up now. Let's look at the 15-minute time frame and see if that's actually true. Are we going to move up now? Maybe. I mean, we do have hidden bullish divergence, I suppose, but I don't know if I would call it that. You do have a lower low relative to this. Overall, this low is lower. You're pretty low in the RSI on the 15-minute time frame while having the highest low that you've had throughout this whole little move here. And you're at prior areas of resistance. You got a lot of volume on that last wick on that 15-minute time frame. I was unaware of that. A lot of volume there, a lot of volume here. So most of the volume that's come in on this hour here has actually been from these lows sending the price higher. It would be interesting to see. Oh, hey, here we go. 4 seconds left in the hour. I was going to say it'd be interesting to see where it closes, but I guess it's not that interesting. Here it is. Perhaps. Oh, look at that. Moving up immediately. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't think that we're going to go any lower. I think that might have been it, genuinely. And the reason for that is in bullish endeavors, it's very, very common to bounce right off of the 0.5. And if this isn't it, if we don't bounce off the 0.5, this is just a false start to this hour, and then we pull back down. That's okay. If we go to 86, if by the time most of you guys watch this, we're below 88,000, we're at 86.4, just understand that's fine. That can happen. It's actually very common to go from your golden ratio down to your 382 and then up. But in bullish endeavors, very bullish endeavors, even in very bullish endeavors, that can happen. But in very bullish endeavors, generally you bounce off the 0.5. So it's kind of looking like we're doing that now. We'll see how it goes. Bouncing off the 0.5 and rejecting the 618 would definitely lead me to believe that you go down to the 382. But let's look at this on a daily time frame and project out from here. Let's wrap this video up, okay? Let's see here. If we're looking at this thing, first off, from a monthly basis, we go to last cycle's high. Okay, the all-time high of last cycle was $69,000. Okay, right there, 69K to the low, right there. The crypto community is anything but humorless. We definitely got a good sense of humor. 69K. Whoever planned that out is just brilliant. Everybody's focused on 100K, and they're like, nope, we're going to give you 69 instead. Hitting $100,000 and consolidating here for months, you guys, for a quarter of a year, consolidating right at the 1272. It's a big deal. It's also a big deal on a psychological perspective, which we don't talk about. I always talk about the fibs, and I love the fibs. It's my bread and butter to my analysis, for sure it is. But whenever it comes to the 1272, it's very, very common, or not very, very common. It's actually very uncommon to consolidate this way. Normally, you reject the 1272, you come down to the 100 and the 886, and then you move up. And that's a bullish thing, right? That's actually that's good if you do that. This is even more bullish. Whenever you don't reject and you don't interact with the 100 and you're tight up against this 1272, and if and when you do break back above it on a monthly closing basis, that's going to propel you higher. We're going to see a bigger move than anything we've seen this cycle, and that's exactly what we're expecting, right? That's what we're expecting to happen. We're expecting that the bull cycle, traditionally, as it goes on, to get bigger as it moves up, not smaller moves. We're looking for bigger moves as it moves up. That's just how it happens, historically speaking. But beyond the 1272 consolidation area being significant, consolidating right around 100K and not rejecting this significantly psychological level for a lot of people, just familiarizing ourselves with it will probably promote an opportunity that allows us to just blow right through it whenever it does come time, and we'll be well on our way to prices that are near $200,000. I really do believe that by the end of this phase, by the end of this move, this next step up, it might be by the end of April. It could be earlier than that. I would think that we are, and maybe it's a little bit later, maybe it is the very beginning of May. I would think that we're at 173K or higher whenever this move is all said and done. I really do expect that to happen. Primary reason is based on the fibs. Whenever you consolidate like this, it's incredibly rare to see anything less than something that takes you to the 1618. It's even somewhat common to just continue ripping up to your 1886. And I don't think that we'll be here by the end of April, but perhaps we do keep ripping up to the 1886 over the following months. You know, maybe we consolidate for a couple weeks in May or something like that and then continue our path up. It might not seem like it for a time, but whenever we look back at it on a monthly basis, we might just consider this as a straight move like this all the way up to 100. And in fact, I wonder what that would do if we did something exactly like this from a low to a high, but in probably a faster amount of time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. 6 months from now, that puts us in September, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. You know, I mean, September, that would mean that September comes around and we're at about $200 and something thousand if we moved up at the same pace. But I would expect a move that's much like this overall, but it takes less time, right? Because Bitcoin, as it continues throughout its bull cycle, as it progresses, once we break out post-halving, the pre-halving move is always smaller and more lackluster than the post-halving move. We only pick up the pace, you guys. So I would anticipate that we're going to pick up the pace. We will see, basically by this metric, if it's saying that if we moved at the exact same pace as this, that we would see prices above 200K, 233K specifically by August, right? Is that, I said September, but it's by August. That's what this would be, because here, if I get it on a time frame perspective from the low to the high, that was 6 months. If we put this right here at that low, that would put us in August. So not September, August. By August, we would be at prices of about 233K. So simply put, we're expecting Bitcoin to be above 233K, likely at 260 or higher, maybe even higher than that, by the end of August with the way that we have it here, because again, the logical line of thinking is that the pace will only pick up. We're only going to see stronger moves progress as the cycle progresses, right? That's how it is every single time. And let me validate that real quick in case anybody's laughing or thinking that I'm just saying that for clicks, because that's not true, guys. I promise you it's not true. This is a real thing. If we look at this on a weekly perspective, it might be better illustrated. Okay, I've done this so many times. We're going to do it one more time just to validate what I'm saying here, okay, or at least make it seem less crazy. We have the halving here, halving period right here in November 2028, or no, November 28, 2012, right here. That's the halving. From a low to a high, this is our pre-halving move, right, before the halving. And then from a low to a high after the halving, this is our post-halving move, right over here, post-halving move. The pre-halving move absolutely eclipsed by the post-halving move. Which one has the higher pitch? It's the post-halving move. Okay. You go to the next one. The next halving was in July 9th, 2016. Right here. The move up from the low to the high before the halving, the pre-halving move, was smaller than the move up from the low to the high after the halving, the post-halving move. It just eclipses it. And again, you see that pace increase. Last cycle, we had a bigger post-halving move as well, but in a little bit of a different sense. Okay, May 11th was whenever we had our halving here. May 11th right there. Okay, from a low to a high. This was our pre-halving move, and it's a bit unconventional because it was actually a rather robust pre-halving move, to be completely fair, and that might be why we consolidated for so long. Our post-halving move, I'm not going to take the low. That's not the post-halving move. The post-halving move would be from the low after the halving to the high after the halving, which technically would be all the way up here, but I feel like this is the end of the cycle. I'm not going to take the all-time high. I'm going to say this is the end of the cycle. And regardless of how you cut it, the post-halving move this time was at a lower pace than the pre-halving move. And my theory behind that is because of the double top. If it wasn't a double top, if we had this robust blow-off finish like we normally do, we probably would have had a increased pitch in this line. It would have been everything we expected it to be, but we had quantitative tightening, we had Russia and Ukraine go into war, we had high inflation around the world, COVID impacts and recovering from that stuff. I mean, just it wasn't good times, guys. It was not good economic times for the world. We actually, if you have less than $10 million to your name, or at least at that time you did, you probably understand that we went through a recession in 2021 to 2023. That was a recession. And people seem to forget that. Everybody who's calling for a recession now, I mean, it's possible. Recessions can happen at any point in time, but traditionally speaking, we don't really see recessions happen. If one just ended in 2023, it's 2025 now. We don't see them. They don't take place every 2 years. It's more like every 8 years, every 12 years, somewhere in that kind of time frame, or longer sometimes, right? Or sometimes less, but it's not. And who am I? I'm not the most renowned economist in the world. I don't know everything, but I'm just saying. A lot of people seem to forget that, and the people that seem to forget that are the wealthiest people in the world, or the people who are in the top 1%. They don't acknowledge that beyond just crypto going through a recession, genuinely the world, at least I don't know, at least in the United States, and we had lower rates of inflation than a lot of countries did, right? The whole world had high rates of inflation. Our government, man, in the United States had to change the definition of what a recession was, because if they didn't at the time, if the Biden administration didn't do that, they would have had to admit that we were going through a recession. That literally happened in 2021 or 2022. But from 2021, the end of 2021 to basically the end of 2023, or the middle of it, we had a recession. And anybody saying that we're going to have a recession soon, I just, by that logic alone, I'm like, nope, that's no, we're not on a global scale. No, the crypto market, sure, maybe in the next year or so, but no, I'm getting beside myself. I'm taking longer to explain this than I meant to. The post-halving move, for the first time, again, I think it's because we were in the midst of a recession without even knowing it at this time. We were at the beginning of one at this time. The DXY was growing. There's a whole bunch of reasons and theories as to why it didn't go up. And I can say that all I want, but here's the facts. It didn't go up. That's it. We had the post-halving move, still bigger than the pre-halving move, as it always is, but this time the pitch was at a lower grade. Okay, I'm assuming that last cycle was a fluke. Last cycle was a one-off. That's not going to happen this cycle. I'm not saying that it'll never happen again. I guess that is what a one-off is, but that's not how I mean it. I just mean I don't think it's going to happen this cycle. It's not something that will infect the markets this cycle. April 20th was the halving period this cycle. From the low to the high before the halving, this was our move. Okay, so if we're going to see, as we have throughout the whole history of Bitcoin, if we're going to see a bigger move as the cycle progresses, and likely a move that increases at a rate of growth, then I would anticipate, if this was the move that we saw throughout the Bitcoin period already, pre-halving, that there's no doubt in my mind that we will be well above $200,000, $230,000, my mistake, before August. Because if we moved at the same pace, we'd be at 230K by the end of August. But we're not going to move at the same pace. We're going to move harder and faster than we have this whole cycle. And that will likely give us those targets before August. I'm thinking sometime like maybe as late as July, maybe as early as May. You know, it could happen, but I do think that we're on our way there now. I've got nothing else to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I appreciate you all for being here. Take it easy. Bye-bye.